I still remember the day everything changed. My name is Jude, and this is the story of how I went from being the most dedicated employee at Barclay Stern to the man who brought the entire company to its knees. It all started with those early mornings. Me, Declan, and Mackenzie would always be the first ones in the office, laughing over burnt coffee while we prepped for the day. I was the golden boy back then, or at least that's what they called me. Adam's promotion to senior VP should have been mine. Everyone knew it. Even Enid from accounting would slip me those knowing looks when we passed in the hallway. But what none of us realized was how far Barclay would go to keep me in my place. See, that's the thing about wolves in designer suits. They don't attack you in the open. They wait until you're comfortable, until you've let your guard down completely. And that's exactly what I did. The Tuesday meeting started like any other. Barclay called us into the conference room at 9 sharp. I sat next to Mackenzie with my report ready. The Anderson account numbers were better than projected. Barclay stood at the head of the table, flipping through my pages. Then he stopped, looked up. "Jude," he said, "these figures are wrong." I opened my folder to check. "No, sir, I triple-checked them last night." The room got quiet. Barclay dropped the papers on the table. "If you can't handle basic math, maybe we should find someone who can." Mackenzie kicked my foot under the table. Declan stared at his coffee. Barclay kept talking like nothing happened. Moving on to Q3 projections. I sat there holding my correct report, watching my reputation crumble in front of everyone. After the meeting, Adam clapped me on the back too hard. "Rough one, kid." That's when I knew. This wasn't a mistake. It was the beginning. 2 weeks after the meeting, I came in early to finish the Thompson proposal. I saved my work at 7:30 a.m. before going for coffee. When I returned, my computer screen was frozen. It had to restart the whole system. Barclay called me into his office at noon. "Where's the Thompson file?" he asked. I pulled it up, but the last 3 pages were blank. "I saved the complete version this morning," I told him. Barclay shook his head. "Enid saw you working late last night. Were you drinking again?" I froze. That never happened. The next day, HR called me in. They had emails from concerned colleagues about my erratic behavior. I recognized the writing style immediately. Barclay always overused semicolons. The complaints were dated from months ago, but the timestamps didn't match our server logs. When I pointed this out, the HR manager closed her laptop. "We'll take that under advisement." That afternoon, Mackenzie wouldn't meet my eyes in the break room. The walls were closing in and Barclay wasn't done yet. Friday morning, 8:17 a.m. Security called me before I even reached my desk. "HR needs to see you immediately." Barclay sat beside the HR director, fingers steepled. No coffee, no small talk, just a folder sliding across the table. "After careful consideration," the director said, "we're restructuring your position." My stomach dropped. Barclay finally spoke. "Effective today, you'll report to Adam in the mailroom." I stared at them. "The mailroom?" The director cleared her throat. "Your recent performance issues leave us no choice." I grabbed the folder. Inside were printouts of the fake emails, notes about missed deadlines I'd never heard of, even a complaint from a client I'd never worked with. "This is all bullshit," I said. Barclay stood up. "Language, Jude, that's exactly the attitude we're talking about." The security guard stepped forward. "We'll need your key card." As I walked out with my box of belongings, Adam was already sitting at my desk, smiling. That's when I decided, if they wanted to play dirty, I'd play dirtier. The first month wasn't so bad. I had savings. I updated my resume, sent out applications, got a few interviews. Nothing panned out. By month 3, the savings ran dry. I sold my watch, canceled the gym membership, started eating ramen for dinner every night. My phone stopped ringing. Friends stopped checking in. Then one Tuesday, I got a call from a recruiter. "We'd love to bring you in," she said. I put on my only clean suit. The interview went great. Then at the end, the manager leaned forward. "We contacted your old employer for a reference." His voice trailed off. I knew exactly what happened. I walked out before he finished. That night, I drank alone in my apartment. The TV was on, but I wasn't watching. A commercial for Barclay's company came on. There he was, shaking hands with some big client, smiling, winning. while I sat there with empty pockets and a fridge full of nothing. That's when I got up, went to my closet, pulled out an old box of files from work, started going through every page. If Barkley wanted to ruin me, I'd make sure he didn't get away with it. 3 months to the day after they fired me, I ran into Mackenzie at the coffee shop near our old office. She looked over her shoulder before sitting down. "They're watching me," she said. I didn't ask who she meant. We both knew. She stirred her coffee too long. "Remember the Henderson account last year?" I nodded. Barkley had me process the payments through that Cayman Islands subsidiary. She pushed a napkin across the table, just 3 words written in shaky handwriting. "Check offshore invoices." Then she was gone. That night, I logged into the old company server using credentials I'd forgotten to turn in, searched every file with Henderson or Cayman, found nothing. Then I remembered, Barkley always used code names. I tried Project Bluefin, the screen filled with spreadsheets. Payments that didn't match any contracts, transfers to accounts that didn't exist in our official records, amounts too large to be mistakes. I printed every page. The printer ran out of toner at 3:17 a.m. I sat there in the dark, staring at the stack of paper in my hands. Finally understood what Mackenzie risked to give me that napkin. It took me 2 weeks to piece it all together. The offshore accounts weren't just for hiding money, they were moving it. I found 3 different versions of the same contract for the Henderson deal. The official one showed $2 million. The internal one said $2.5 million. But the Cayman records? $3.2 million. That extra $700,000 went somewhere. I cross-checked dates. Every big client meeting Barkley took a loan matched a transfer within 48 hours. Then I found the emails. Coded, but obvious once you saw the pattern. Package delivered meant payment received. Dinner with friends was a bribe. The worst one just said clean up on aisle 5 with an attachment of shredded documents. I made copies of everything, burned them onto 3 separate flash drives, hid one in my apartment, mailed one to my brother's house, kept the third in my jacket pocket. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number, just 1 sentence. "They know you're looking." I should have been scared, but all I felt was calm, because now I had what I needed. Barkley didn't just fire me, he gave me nothing left to lose. I sat at my kitchen table with all the evidence spread out. The numbers didn't lie, the dates matched up. But I knew it wasn't enough. Barkley had friends in high places, people who wouldn't want these secrets coming out. I needed more, something they couldn't explain away. Then I remembered the company retreat last year. Barkley got drunk and bragged about his special security system at home. Said it recorded everything. That's when it hit me. If he was dirty at work, he was definitely dirty at home. I called an old college friend who worked in tech. Hypothetically, I asked, how hard would it be to access someone's home security feed? He laughed. For you? Impossible. For me? Depends on the system. I gave him Barkley's address. 2 days later, a package arrived. No return address. Inside was a flash drive with video files. Barkley in his home office, counting stacks of cash. Meeting with people I recognized from the Henderson deal. Even arguing with someone on the phone about moving the numbers. Now I had everything. But I had to be smart. One wrong move, and it would all disappear. I needed to time this perfectly. The annual shareholders meeting was coming up in 3 weeks. Every major investor would be there. Every board member, the press. That's when I'd make my move. Mackenzie stopped answering my calls after the coffee shop. I tried her cell, her home number, even showed up at her gym. Nothing. Then one night, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Park bench near 5th and Main, 7 a.m. tomorrow. Come alone. I got there at 6:30. Mackenzie showed up at 7:15, sunglasses on, hood up. "They're watching my apartment," she said. I had to ditch my phone. She handed me a manila envelope. Inside were printed emails from Barkley's personal account, instructions to move money, lists of account numbers, a spreadsheet labeled special bonuses with amounts next to government officials' names. "I copied these before they locked me out of the system," she said. "They're purging all the records next week." I asked why she was helping me. She took off her sunglasses, dark circles under her eyes. "Because yesterday they fired me too. Said I was too close to you." She stood up to leave. Just promise me one thing. When you take him down, make sure he knows it came from both of us." Then she was gone. I sat there going through the documents. Every page was another nail in Barclay's coffin. Now I just needed to deliver them to the right people at the right time. I waited until 3 a.m. to send the email, created a new account from an internet cafe across town, attached just one document, the Henderson contract with the 3 different amounts circled in red. No message, just the subject line. Ask about Project Bluefin. Sent it to the CEO's private address, the one only senior staff were supposed to know. Then I waited. 3 days passed. Nothing. Then on Thursday morning, Barclay stormed into the office looking like he hadn't slept. Called an emergency meeting with legal, closed the blinds. I watched from the coffee station as executives rushed in and out all morning. At noon, security escorted IT guys into Barclay's office. They left carrying his computer. That's when I sent the second email. This time with 3 attachments, the Cayman transfers, the special bonuses list, and a screenshot of Barclay's home security feed. Subject line, dinner with friends. The CEO replied within an hour. "Who is this?" I didn't answer. Let them sweat. The trap was set. Now all I had to do was wait for Barclay to spring it himself. The shareholders' meeting was in 2 days. I spent the night before at a copy shop, printing everything. Contracts, emails, bank records, the video stills, made 20 identical packets. At dawn, I dropped them at 3 different FedEx locations across town, addressed to every board member, the HR director, 2 major newspapers, even the SEC tip line. Then I went home and waited. The first call came at 9:15 a.m., a reporter from the Business Journal. "We just received your package. Can you verify these documents?" I said nothing and hung up. By noon, news vans surrounded the office building. At 2:47 p.m., the company stock froze trading. I turned on the financial news just in time to see Barclay being walked out by security. The CEO made a statement at 4 p.m. "We've placed Mr. Barclay on immediate leave pending investigation." My phone started blowing up. Former coworkers, recruiters, even a headhunter offering triple my old salary. But I didn't answer. Just sat there watching the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Company shares down 38%. Barclay's name trending on Twitter. Then my doorbell rang. 2 men in suits. "Mr. Thompson, we're with the Securities and Exchange Commission. We'd like to ask you some questions." I let them in, offered coffee. Knew exactly what I was going to say. 6 weeks to the day after they walked me out of that building, I watched security lead Barclay through the same glass doors. The cameras caught everything. His wrinkled shirt, the way he kept trying to shake off the guards' hands, that moment when he spotted the reporters and nearly tripped over his own feet. The company issued a statement while he was still in the parking lot. "Terminated immediately, full cooperation with authorities." I recognized the phrasing, same as they'd used on me. That afternoon, Mackenzie texted me a photo from inside the office. Someone had already cleared out Barclay's desk. His nameplate sat in the trash can. The next morning, the Wall Street Journal ran the story on page 1. By lunchtime, federal agents raided his house. I know because I watched it live on CNN, the same way my former co-workers had watched me carry my box to the car that last day. The difference was, my box only had pens and notebooks in it. His? According to the reporters, they found stacks of cash. Offshore account numbers scribbled on sticky notes. Even a burner phone with texts to people the FBI had been watching for years. The CEO called me personally that evening. "We're restructuring," he said. "Your old position is open if you want it." I told him I'd think about it. Hung up, turned on the news again. There was Barclay walking into court in handcuffs. The caption said, "Former executive faces 25 years." I poured myself a drink. Finally opened that envelope from the headhunter. The offer was good, really good. But I had a better idea. 2 days after Barclay's arrest, the company sent a car to my apartment. The driver handed me an envelope. Inside was a letter from the board of directors. They offered my job back. Full back pay, a promotion, stock options. Everything I'd lost plus more. I folded the letter and put it in my pocket. The car took me to headquarters. Reporters still camped outside. The CEO met me in the lobby. "We want to make this right," he said. I followed him to the conference room. The entire leadership team sat around the table. Same people who'd watched Barclay destroy me. Now they smiled like we were old friends. The general counsel slid a contract across the table. "Sign today and we'll announce your return as vice president." I read every word. The salary was double, the severance package bulletproof. All I had to do was promise not to sue, not to talk to press, not to mention what happened. I took out a pen. They leaned forward. Then I pushed the contract back. "I'll take the VP title," I said, "but I want Barclay's office, his budget, and his seat on the ethics committee." The CEO hesitated. The lawyers whispered. Finally, they nodded. I signed. They applauded. As we shook hands, I glanced at the security cameras in the corner, the same ones that had watched Barclay humiliate me months before. Now they recorded my victory. But here's what they didn't see: the unsigned copy of the contract I kept in my pocket, the one I'd send to the SEC next week, because some deals are meant to be broken. Monday morning, I walked into Barclay's old office, my office now. The first thing I did was remove his golf trophies from the shelf. Then I called HR, pulled the files on Adam, Enid, and the whole finance team. By noon, security had escorted 7 people out of the building. The remaining staff watched in silence as desks were cleared. At 2 p.m., I announced new rules. All contracts would need 3 approvals, no more offshore accounts, random audits every quarter. The conference room was dead quiet until Mackenzie started clapping. Others joined in. Not everyone was happy, but they all got the message. That afternoon, I met with the CEO. "You're moving fast," he said. I handed him a list of client accounts we needed to review. "Should have moved faster," I told him. He didn't argue. On my way out, I stopped by the mailroom, same place they'd tried to send me months before. The guy working there looked up. "Need something, boss?" I shook my head. "Just checking the view." Back in my office, I opened the blinds. The whole floor could see in now. Let them watch. Transparency starts today. Barclay waited exactly 17 days before making his move. A process server showed up at my office with papers. Barclay was suing me for defamation, wrongful termination, even theft of intellectual property. The legal team said not to worry. "These claims won't stick," they told me. But I knew Barclay. He wasn't after money. He wanted me rattled. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. "Check your email," a voice said before hanging up. There it was, a photo of my apartment building taken that evening. Then another message. "Remember what happened to the last whistleblower?" I forwarded everything to the FBI agent handling Barclay's case. The next morning, 2 agents visited Barclay's house. They found him shredding documents, violation of his bail terms. The judge revoked his bond that afternoon. As they led him away in cuffs, a reporter shouted a question. Barclay turned to the cameras. "This isn't over," he yelled. I watched the clip on repeat that night, smiled when the DA announced new obstruction charges, picked up the phone, called Mackenzie. "Remember that list of offshore accounts we found?" I asked. "Time to send it to the IRS." Some people never learn when to quit. Good thing I do. 3 months later, the trial made headlines. Barclay got 12 years. The company paid a fine but avoided charges. I kept my job, fixed what I could. Some people called me a hero. Others said I went too far. The truth? I just did what anyone would do when backed into a corner. Or did I? That's the real question, isn't it? What would you have done? Taken the high road, walked away quietly, or would you have dug through the dirt until you found enough to bury him? Maybe you're smarter than me. Maybe you would have quit that first day they moved you to the mailroom. Saved yourself the trouble. But here's what I know. When someone tries to break you, there's only 2 choices. Stay broken, or break them first. So I'll ask one last time. If it were you sitting in that empty apartment with the bank account running dry and the career going nowhere, what would you have done? Justice doesn't always come easy. Sometimes you have to dig for it, fight for it, wait for it. But when it finally arrives, nothing tastes sweeter. Want to see more corrupt bosses get what's coming to them? More cheaters exposed? More wrongs made right? Hit that subscribe button right now, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.